And we will certainly be recapping those winds in Ontario, but our storm watch coverage is on for two separate storms. We have a snowstorm on the way for Alberta, really beginning early tomorrow morning in the south. And then we have a nor'easter on the way for Atlantic Canada, really beginning tomorrow afternoon around the lunch hour for Halifax in particular. So let's get to the big stories. Of course, through the day tomorrow, we're going to be following the snow developing in southern Alberta. For Edmonton, it's more of a Wednesday night through Thursday event for you. In southern Ontario, after the winds and, the really cold air today, Wednesday's going to be a fairly calm day. So Wednesday, not bad, just cold, but then that nor'easter. So let's break down the nor'easter first. And obviously, it's going to have huge travel impacts in the U.S. along the eastern seaboard. And of course, Thanksgiving is Thursday. It's one of the busiest travel weeks of the entire year for Americans. But here it comes in. I mentioned the lunch hour, Halifax tomorrow, rain begins. It's an interesting story because for so many of us in the Maritimes, our temperatures will be right around the freezing mark. It does look to be predominantly rain in Halifax, predominantly rain in St. John's, Newfoundland through the day Thursday. But most of New Brunswick, PEI, this could be a snow event for you. Now, speaking of snow, let's talk about that snow. Calgary, potentially 10 centimeters of snow, maybe locally up to 20, depending on where you are in the city. So 10 to 20 centimeters Calgary, 10 to 20 centimeters Edmonton. But for Calgary, again, it's really Wednesday morning through Thursday morning, Wednesday night through Thursday night in Edmonton because the system is moving in from the south. So if we break down this, it's a lot of that moisture in BC because it is a soggy week in British Columbia. That moisture starts spilling over. We have cold Arctic air across the prairies. It's going to get increasingly cold through the week. So the cold is one of the bigger stories. But again, a lot of snow and eventually Thursday into Friday, biggest, most populated cities. So London, Hamilton, Kitchener, Toronto, St. Catharines. I mean, these are strong winds. Still very significant this morning. Reds indicate winds sustained between 40 and 60 kilometers per hour. So windy this morning. However, we are going to be seeing the winds easing by this evening. And as I mentioned, a much calmer day for Wednesday. But keep in mind, it's about 15 degrees colder today compared to yesterday. This morning, let's take a look at some of the peak wind gusts. And for most of our very highly populated cities across southern Ontario, we saw winds gusting at either 90 or over 100 kilometers per hour. Hamilton, nearly 100. Pearson Airport, 98 kilometers per hour. London, Kitchener, all around the 100 kilometer per hour mark. Now, through this morning, winds are still going to be gusting close to about 60 kilometers per hour, closer to 40 kilometers per hour by this evening. As high pressure moves in, the winds are really going to subside. Most of the wind warnings have come to an end. But I do need to point out that there are some new snow squall watches, including for our friends in Parry Sound, something you've been dealing with for what seems to be a couple of weeks. The lake effect snow today could fall at a rate of about 10 to 15 centimeters per 12-hour period. But again, as the winds subside later tonight, you'll lose that potential for the snow squalls. Wind warnings, by the way, continue in around Quebec City and through the Gaspé region and even into Atlantic Canada. A lot of the wind warnings have come to an end, but you can see around the northern peninsula, it is still going to be windy. This is where our storm watch coverage begins. In around the Avalon Peninsula, but you had plenty of sunshine through the afternoon. Now, we are seeing some rain showers still this morning in St. John's, and it's still exceptionally windy. All those reds indicating winds sustained between 40 and 60 kilometers per hour. Now, we have two cold fronts making their way through Atlantic Canada. The first cold front is going to drop temperatures by about 7 degrees, and then temperatures cool even further behind it with that second cold front. So yes, as temperatures cool, that's going to change what happens with this nor'easter as it makes its way into the Maritimes. For Halifax, this is likely going to be a rain event for you. You may see some mixing through the overnight hours as temperatures get closer to the freezing mark, but predominantly rain for coastal Nova Scotia. The further north you go or west you go, the more likely you are to see the snow. So Fredericton, this could be a good 20 centimeters of snow for you beginning later Wednesday and then into Thursday morning. So this is story number one as to why we are in storm watch. How about story number two? Let's take you to Alberta. Now, the interesting thing is with this snow in Alberta, we are looking at the snow beginning for Calgary, I'd say by the midnight hour tonight into early tomorrow morning, but it's going to really pick up, 7, 8 in the morning and then last through Wednesday night. The potential is there for 10 to 20 centimeters of snow, and then the snow moves further to the north. So for Edmonton, it's not such a bad day Wednesday, but by Wednesday dinner hour, snow begins for you. And then it lingers through the day Thursday and even into Friday morning, lingering snow in around Edmonton. Again, 10 to 20 centimeters of snow for you, and you're on the higher end of 20, I would say, in the Edmonton area. Then that low pressure system makes its way across the eastern prairies. So yes, as the cold returns to the prairies this week, and it is going to be bitterly cold with that Arctic air, we are looking at snow as well. And again, so Saskatoon toward Winnipeg, the potential is there for the second half of the week to be a snowy one. Of course, our storm watch coverage of these two events, they will continue in just a moment. And of course, storm watch is on. We will have an update on those nasty winds across Ontario last night coming up in the next few minutes. But first, we are in storm watch for two major systems. First of all, we have snow coming to Alberta, really beginning in Calgary tomorrow morning. So Wednesday is going to be a very snowy day, more so Thursday in Edmonton. And then, of course, this is another storm we have to talk about, the nor'easter for tomorrow in the maritime evening commute and around the city of Halifax. And things will only get worse through the day tomorrow. Today's not such a bad day. But by the lunch hour, if you're planning your day tomorrow in Halifax, watch for the rain showers to begin, and it will be predominantly rain for coastal Nova Scotia. It looks like temperatures will stay warm enough. As temperatures cool through the overnight, you may see a bit of snow mixed in there, but as far as snow is concerned, it is going to be New Brunswick, PEI dealing with mostly snow, and even St. John's. Could be some wet snow to start, but becoming mostly a rain event for you as temperatures stay on the mild side, feeling like the minus 20s when you factor in the winds. So today we do have that Alberta clipper to contend with. We're talking, flurries here or there, a couple of centimeters across Saskatchewan. But this is the storm that we really have to watch out for. If you go to our website, theweathernetwork.com, and look at the hourly forecast for Calgary, it really all begins overnight tonight and early tomorrow morning. But say through tomorrow's morning commute into Wednesday night, so tomorrow night, that's when you could potentially in Calgary see a good 10, 15, locally 20 centimeters of snow. This could be 40 or 50 centimeters of snow at the higher elevations, Jasper and Banff. For Edmonton, it's an interesting story if we zoom in a little bit closer. For Edmonton, it's all really going to begin Wednesday night, maybe just after the dinner hour, and then it intensifies Wednesday night into Thursday. Through Thursday, Edmonton, you're on the closer side of 20 than 10 centimeters of snow. So again, all that moisture spills over the Rockies, British Columbia, a very soggy week this week, but a lot of that moisture spills over, and because it is cold, it's going to be a snowy week ahead right across the prairies. Your Rise and Shine report brought to you by Subway. And if you are doing anything through this morning, we are basically looking at those winds in southern and central Ontario pushing through southern Quebec continuing. So extremely windy, and that's going to make your temperatures feel even colder. But as far as active weather is concerned, we're watching a nor'easter through the day tomorrow moving into Atlantic Canada. And then, of course, we have snow developing late tonight, early tomorrow morning in southern Alberta. Tuesday, temperatures, Calgary only getting up to the freezing mark. Night in southern Ontario. At one point in time, there were between 80 and 90,000 customers without power. You times that by an average of 3 people per household, and that was a lot of people left in the dark at one point in time. Now, this double cold front, that's the interesting thing in Ontario because, yes, it's been extremely windy. The winds will still be strong today, but they'll start easing later tonight. It's not as strong as we saw last night. And, of course, it's a good 10 to 15 degrees colder today. This is the perfect setup, once again, for lake effect snow squalls. And so there are watches in place specifically for our friends in Parry Sound where you have been in a watch essentially over the last couple of weeks. But it's just today that you're going to be dealing with the lake effect snow. As the winds ease later tonight, the snow squalls should be easing as well. Current wind gusts, not as impressive as the 90 to 100 kilometer per hour gusts that we saw last night, but still in around Toronto, 50 kilometers per hour, 50 in Windsor, nearly 50 in Hamilton. And that rain as well. I mean, it caused some localized flooding in southwestern Ontario, Kitchener. We have that video coming up throughout the show if you haven't seen that yet. But that's what will happen when we're approaching the winter season and you get 44 millimeters of rain on top of all of that melting snow. And we did see that localized flooding. Again, winds were gusting close to 100 kilometers per hour or slightly over for many of us. And Mike, I believe that you're in one of the areas heaviest hit by not only the rains, but also the wind. Yeah, great point. I can see flurries, very light around you this morning. So much different story from yesterday. Cornwall, by the way, hit 21 degrees. And how's this for a temperature difference? Winnipeg and Toronto, 30-degree difference yesterday. Winnipeg never got warmer than minus 10. Toronto, of course, hit nearly 20 degrees. You got up to about 18.5 degrees. Major difference. But again, we're still looking at the snow in through central and northern Ontario today. The winds slowly ease later tonight. And then our shift of attention takes us to the east and the west. Our storm watch begins. All right, so let's shift our attention for just a moment. Newfoundland, you're still seeing some lingering showers, specifically in St. John's this morning. The winds should be easing later tonight, but then we have to gear you up for the nor'easter. It's going to be moving in by about the lunch hour tomorrow in Halifax. It will be predominantly a rain event for you, but you can see into New Brunswick, PEI. This is going to be a snow event. Fredericton, potentially, from Wednesday afternoon through Thursday afternoon, you could be seeing a good 20 centimeters of snow, and there's 20 centimeters in the forecast Wednesday through Thursday in Alberta. Those big stories are coming up.